Top of the morning to you this beautiful Thursday morning. And on behalf of the board, management, and of course on behalf of the supervising producer, Nemibofa Ozibo, I welcome you to Thursday's edition of Morning Ride. Today is the 5th day in the month of June 2025, so it's not out of place to say Happy New Month. I trust we've drawn up our schedule or the list of goals we want to achieve this new month. I trust that we are trying to abandon negative things that we don't want to continue in this new month. We are adopting new strategies, new characters, new skills, ways to develop ourselves and become better versions of ourselves. Well, all I'll say is take it one day at a time, take it one step at a time, and everything will definitely fall into place. My name is Perpetua Iboba, and I'm saying good morning to you. Well, on happenings, a list of trending issues, on a very beautiful note, the federal government stepped in yesterday to assist those who were affected by the flood in Moka community. They've done beautifully well in donating the sum of 2 billion naira, 20 trucks of grains to rebuild the community. Now, the federal government donated this yesterday to indigents, or rather to the victims of Mokwa flood disaster in Niger State. And also they went ahead in promising the people to help rebuild the community. Now, this promise was made by the Vice President when he visited the ravaged community. Yes, he also assured the people that the federal government will stand by them in the aftermath of the devastating flood that recently swept through the community, leaving a trail of destruction. Lots of lives and properties were lost, lots of farmlands, food and non-food items. People lost their source of livelihood. But it's a very beautiful thing that the federal government has stepped in to alleviate the sufferings of this people, and it's very beautiful to see that these people would have something to live on in the moment before they find their food. And moving on to happenings around us on a not so good note. Yesterday in Kaduna State, 11 children died and others were injured as sand heap collapsed on them. Now, these children were killed and several others were injured when they were playing. They were working, rather, not really playing. They were working inside the sand pit when the wall collapsed and they were buried under heavy debris. And unfortunately, efforts made to rescue these trapped children proved very futile. Well, our heart goes out to the parents of these children, their relatives, and the entire Kaduna State in general. We say may their souls rest in peace, and the state government is also doing its utmost in ensuring that the children that have sustained injuries are catered for and well taken care of. And moving on to international commemoration, the International Days commemoration, today being Thursday, the 5th day in the month of June, is the World Environment Day. That is what today is all about. And today is an urgent global call to protect the planet. Yes, that's what today is all about. It's an urgent global call to protect the environment. And the theme of this year's commemoration is ending plastic pollution. Now, this global initiative led by the UN aims to raise awareness about the harmful effect of plastic waste on our planet and encourage actions to reduce plastic consumption and promote sustainable alternatives. Now, the World Environment Day was established in the year 1973, and this is the United Nations principal platform for encouraging worldwide awareness and action for the environment. Like I said earlier, this day is celebrated every year on the 5th day of June. Now, It's very, very important that we know that plastic pollution is a pressing global issue, with over 430 million tons of plastic produced annually. Now, a significant portion of this ends up in oceans and landfills, harming wildlife and ecosystems. Now, the World Environment Day 2025 seeks to unite individuals, communities, business, and government in taking concrete steps to reducing plastic waste. This includes reducing the use of single-use plastic, recycling and reusing materials, supporting policies that promote sustainable production and consumption. And how can we participate? You don't have to be a billionaire or a millionaire to spread the word. You can spread the word in your little corner, in the little things you do to your neighbors, those around you. You've got to sensitize them and tell them the importance of keeping the environment clean, the importance of using reusable bags, bottles, containers, participating in local cleanup events that's been called up by the society or by your immediate environment. For instance, if you're coming out to clean the street, you can also volunteer and come out, to render that service, that selfless service to keep the environment clean. Like I said earlier on, sensitization, educating people on the impact, because in as much as ignorance is not an excuse, many people do not know the harmful effects of all of this. So it is pivotal that we also educate those around us. Well, on the trending issues, I think we're going to be throwing more light on it when our news analyst Bonnie Akeze comes up later. But don't forget, you're still on Thursday's edition of Morning Ride. We'll take a quick breather, and by the time we return, it will be time for our next sport. This time. Thursday's morning edition of the Morning Ride. And right here in this segment is for the newspaper analysis. Right here in this segment, we get to read out headlines coming from different newspapers, and then our news analyst does justice to the trending issues. So I'll start with the Nigerian Tribune newspapers. The screaming headline here says, the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Ezenwo Nyesom Wike, CON, and the Honorable Minister of State, Dr. Maria Mahmood, on behalf of all residents of the FCT, welcomes His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the commissioning of key Renewed Hope project executed by the Federal Capital Territory Administration in commemoration of the second anniversary of the present administration. And it's a 17-day commissioning of the project, which will begin from June 10 to July 3, 2025. That is the screaming headline on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Moving on to the Vanguard newspaper, the screaming headline here says, Mokwa flood victims lament poor food and camp conditions. ARCO gets NCAA drone pilots training certificates. O&O secures $375 million facility to power upstream growth. And then Photo Speaks talking about Nyesom Wike welcoming His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the commissioning of the Renewed Hope project. Okay, moving on to the Guardian news headlines this morning. The Guardian, the major story here says, foreign aid withdrawal. Donor fatigue hits 331 PHCs. Over 400 staff put north in Dire Straits. Development aid reductions 2025. And there, that is a description of the development aid reduction. And at the top strip, it says, Natasha, court summons Akpabio Nwebonyi for defamation. Mother, son, others arraigned for allegedly assaulting vice principal in Ondo. Gates deplores Nigeria's health budget as too poor. At the bottom strip, it says NIMDPRA awards gas trading, clearing, and settlement licenses to JEX markets. And lastly, defection rumors swirl as Adeleke Fubara meets Tinubu in Lagos. All right, moving on to This Day newspapers. This Day newspaper has it as the major headline, Shetima in Mokwa promises federal government will rebuild flood-ravaged community. And the Photo Speaks is looking at Nyesom Wike welcoming the president to the commissioning of the Capital Territory projects. Okay, moving on to the Punch newspaper this morning. It says, VIPs lobby presidency as federal government grounds 60 private jets. Customs seal off aircraft hangars at Lagos. Abuja airport over import duty default. Right, and at the top strip it says Salah, Mokwa bridge collapse fuels tomato pepper price surge. Ram prices soar 55% as inflation bites harder. Lagos to Ibadan highway gridlock traps thousands. Okay, that's it on the Punch newspaper. And on the Daily Times newspaper this morning, the major story here says Fitch downgrades Afrin Bank as Orama's legacy is questioned. At the top strip it says shadow government, DSS moves to block Utomi's rallies. And at the bottom strip it says Saraki to party faithful, PDP will bounce back in 2027. Enugu government begins crackdown on bandits and kidnappers. Court dismisses £990 trillion suit against CBN and others. And lastly, Nigeria's security and political economy. 4. The Daily Independent newspaper is next. The major story here says, defection won't decide 2027 election outcome. This is coming from the PDP. Says 2027 is going to be referendum on APC failure. At the top strip, it says, telcos look to federal government for recovery after losing 53 million subscribers. 2 courts summon Akpabio and Umwebonyi over Natasha. At the bottom strip, it says, DSS ask court to stop Utomi from holding shadow government rallies. IGP wants crisis instigators marked as activists of consequences. Celebration as tribunal reaffirms Governor Ayedatiwa's election. Deadly flood. Federal government to rebuild Mokwa, donate 2 billion naira and 20 trucks of grains. Vows to address ecological challenges contributing to crisis. Risk managers urge overhaul of early warning system for flood. And Arafat Day, Sultan seeks prayers against Boko Haram and bandits. And lastly, the Nation's newspaper is next. The Nation newspaper is next, and the major story here says, Tinubu vows to rebuild and restore flood-hit Mokwa. It's a tragedy shared by all. The top strip says, why I visited President. This is coming from Bakari. It says, I desire a great nation. PDP, our focus is unity of members, not coalition. South should rally around Akpabio, says Omokri. O&O deepens upstream investment with $375 million deal. All right, that is it on the last newspaper, which is the Nation's newspaper. We'll now come back to the studio. All right, I'm right here with our newspaper analyst, Mr. Bonnie Akeze. Good morning, Mr. Bonnie.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Fine.
And how is everything going?
Great.
I'm good. It's a better day. So we've seen on the trending issues happening around us. Different picture description of the inauguration of the project happening in the FCT by the president. Invited by Nyesom Wike. Wike welcoming the president. So the question I want to ask here is this: we have other things that need to be attended to in different parts of the country, not just in the FCT. Is this by any means like neglecting those areas, or is it because the federal Abuja happens to be like the federal capital territory? That's why much attention is given to that area when it comes to like development and commissioning and all of those things.
Okay. Yeah. Of course, Abuja is our federal capital territory, and many foreigners who come to Nigeria will see Abuja first, and may not even see any other place. So naturally, we want to say Abuja must be. It is imperative that it is given the status infrastructural facelift of defeating a capital of a country like Nigeria. So, but again, my only fear in Nigeria generally is that each time we talk about development, we only talk about physical infrastructure like roads, flyovers, and buildings. Yes, as much as those aspects of development are very, very important, because they are also facilitators of economic development. I also think that the sum total is just the governance is like a football match. You know, is at the end of the day, after you reel out all the statistics, shot at goal, how many free kicks and everything, the most important statistics is going to be how many goals. So the most important development is the extent that our public policies has impacted on the people. Impacted on the people as in their access to education, their access to medical care, and overall lifting of their well-being. If we have fantastic physical infrastructure, and we have hungry people all over the place, we will have anger all over the place, because hungry man is an angry man. Yes. And curiously, if you go to read, if you read a book like Chris Hammond's People's History of the World, or you read books like Progress and Poverty by Henry George, or even How Nations Fail. How Nations Fail by Darren Asemoglu and James Robinson. What you will see clearly is that what brought about, you see that all the empires, all the civilizations that have collapsed, they built enduring infrastructure, towers, pyramids, flourished, but the people's well-being were neglected. If you go to all nations, all civilizations that failed, it is a constant factor. It is a constant factor. So I think we should begin to. Why we will need the good road, why we need to make our federal capital look like the streets of heaven plated with golds and diamonds. We should remember that people have to be alive to use those roads, and we should also know that sustenance of those roads and those infrastructure has so much to do with this well-being of the people. Because when the people rise, that tower, they will bring it down. So because of their anger and the rising from hardship and poor living condition.
Okay.
So that is important.
So the government should be focused on people-centered development above infrastructure.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So moving on to the Guardian newspaper. This story here says Natasha court summons Akpabio and Onwebonyi for defamation. I think this issue has started since February, if I'm not making a mistake, and it's been till this moment. What's your take on it, Mr. Bonyi?
No, both Natasha and the other side, when they went to, they don't know it is not going to be a dash. It's a long drawn battle, and the mill of justice grinds slowly. So they know litigation is not a flight. Yes. So it's going to drag, and coupled with our own system. Like now, the judiciary, the greater part of the courts in the country are on, the workers are on strike. So all those things are going to impact. So it's definitely less, but it's also part of the process of democracy, because the rule of law. If you are ready to submit to the rule of law, you should be ready for it too.
Yes.
The rule of law in terms of going through litigation to seek redress is not a thing that comes overnight.
But don't you think the matter has been lingering for a very, very long period of time? Because this is since February, and we're in June, like the length of time and all of that.
Yeah, it is. It is so, because that is the nature of our judicial system. What is that case that goes to our court that doesn't drag? You know, okay, look at the issue of the state of emergency in River State. You know, some people say it was right, some people say it was not right. Yeah. So the only ombudsman that would have said this is what it is the court. Mm-hmm. So in that kind of case, you expect that in a matter of a week or two, the Supreme Court, which is the constitutional court that, you know, the final lesson, would have given judge that make a pronouncement and that matter. But look at it, it is later. The case will be in court until maybe the period of emergency elapses, and then when they get back to court, the judges will call it a case that has become academic. So at the end of the day, justice is not served. So I think it is an aspect of our system that we got to look into, expeditious dispensation of justice, because more often than not, justice delay, they say, is justice denied. Yeah.
So the judiciary should look into the process of how do I put it now? The judiciary should look into the process of the timeliness when it comes to their giving verdict.
Yes, we should look at the structural, the organizational framework of the judiciary, so that it's such that we have enough courts and we have enough hands. You know, like if you go to some other place, I have continued to ask lawyers and legal experts, and how can we explain that the land dispute in every community in Nigeria, as vast as Nigeria, has the chance of going to the Supreme Court? You imagine the number, the magnitude of cases, land cases, that will be pending at the Supreme Court. And that is why some cases will be there for 50 years. So once you should think that we should have a kind of a system where even, if we don't want to decentralize the Supreme Court, it should be administratively devolved. That's such that just as we have regional divisions of the Court of Appeal, let us also perhaps have the regional divisions or state divisions of the Supreme Court, so that certain cases emanating from Delta State that is going to Supreme Court will not go to the Supreme Court in Abuja. It will go to the Supreme Court, their division in Delta State. So I think some of those, you see, there is no problem of structures and organizations that humans cannot solve. It is when you apply yourself to it, you know, you're thinking to it, okay, they say once there is a will, there's always a way. So once we put our problem to it, like we're talking about, I was discussing in a panel, I said, you see, we don't seem to understand the framework of the workings of political economy. You see, you talk about good policies. They have never, I don't think they have been out to contend with dread of fantastically thought out policies. The issue is where are the what I call it, the political institutions for the implementation of these policies. When the founding fathers of America, those 13 colonies, you know, that started from the state of Virginia to Carolina, and when they gathered at the Continental Congress at Philadelphia in 1774, what were those principles that they initiated that led to the type of political institutions they had? If you watch American political framework, they have the institution that is very effective and efficient in enforcing limitations to the exercise of political power. That is why it is difficult to see a tyrant You can see how they're contending with Trump. Courts are not constrained to make pronouncements to overturn his policies. The Congress people are not constrained to speak out. Because they have, and you see that they have a constitution that distributed power broadly along, within the framework of the chain, within the framework. So, is that what we have in Nigeria? So, when we talk about reforms, when we talk about policies, maybe we will begin to take a second look at our policy administration framework. Take a look at our political institutions. Fuel subsidy, the petroleum subsidy, I've spoken about it on this set. It was a fantastic policy. It was a fantastic scheme because Nigeria has, in terms of resources, in terms of economic resources, Nigeria has what do you call it? Energy reserves as its competitive advantage. So it's supposed to use low energy cost as a tool, for its economic development, because that is what it has in abundance. So, but that fantastic policy scheme was sabotaged by weak institutions that's supposed to oversight and make sure that only what is supposed to be subsidized is subsidized. So we ended up subsidizing the big rats.
Okay, so sorry to cut you short, Mr. Boni. So who checks this institution who checks this institution when it comes to the effectiveness of their functionality in carrying out their duties?
Okay, so let me tell you. Let's look at it. We have set reality. We said we are in a presidential system of government. Like I told you, Americans, when they were writing the principles that finally, got into the laws that were made. Everything you see in a law is a policy. It's a law. It's a policy giving legal backing. That's what every law is. So when they sat down and said, no, okay, we're going the presidential system. They formulated the presidential system that say the executive, bicameral legislature, the judiciary, and gave every of these organs of government full autonomy, independent of each other. What were they thinking? Is to make sure there are checks and balances. We copied the presidential system. Yes. Are we doing the checks and balances? Are you doing the checks and balances? Can you go for election in Nigeria? Yes. As you want to run for House of Assembly in any state in Nigeria, and you are not openly printing your poster, putting your face along with that of the governor? You can't dare it. You can't dare it. You cannot be on the same page with the governor. Okay, so like I was saying. So it is not about when people will say go to Europe and America as if what we are doing. I think what our system is natural. We are innately configured to behave. No, it is not so. The Trump in America has shown that even in that America with so much doubt as this in develop and that version of democracy, if the institutions collapses, you will see more of Trump. In fact, what Trump is doing today, it will be a child play. So nations are governed by laws, not by men. Nations are governed by institutions, not by men. When you have a functional institutions, which the system, the framework, everything are kept sacrosanct, you cannot break the institution. You can only break yourself against the institutions. So that is what our situation is.
Okay, so days ago, flood ravaged Mokwa community. There was loss of lives, properties, livelihoods, and lots of things. You know, it was really devastating for the people of Mokwa community, and I think the country at large, because nobody was happy at that news. But graciously yesterday, the federal government stepped in to donate about 2 billion naira, 20 trucks of food, and the rest of them, you know, gave NFIs, food and non-food items. These people have something. Poor food and camp conditions, because of course the camp was set up to house those people whose houses were ravaged by the flood. So what is your take on all of these?
Well, there's this other tragedy that struck in Kaduna.
Yes, the sand.
The mostly the section of where they were dredging water
and
escaping,
yes, about 10 of them.
You know, one of the officials of the emergency management, he said this is not a natural disaster. It's a man-made disaster. You see, most of the time, if you see the Mokwa film, watch the flood,
yes,
and if you know the issue of flood, even flash floods,
yes,
you know, you will understand what we mean by when we say the toleration is never sudden. The water, if you have the knowledge of fluid dynamics, you know that water travels downhill.
Yes, it does.
Water easily travels downhill unless otherwise, you know, force applied. So once a floodplain is a floodplain, so flood of that magnitude is not what just suddenly happens. But again, when our hydrological agencies and meteorological agencies, when they give warning, when they make predictions and give warnings, more often than not, we don't hit them. We don't, you know, we just say it's one of those things and we just go away, continue with our. So, over the years, society is expounding, you know, the ecosystem is altered, and we are not conscious of the environment, you know. So until this kind of things hit us, you know, we are waking up to the reality. We are waking up to the reality of the consequences, of the implications of environmental degradation, of our handling and mishandling of our environment. So I think Mokwa should be a big lesson, another big lesson to all of us, not just to the Niger State people or the Mokwa people, because it can happen anywhere.
So the majority of the
can happen anywhere.
The majority of the problem in Mokwa community has to do with like town planning and building.
It of course, that thing happen must be a combination of factors.
Of all of them. Yeah.
It must be a combination of factors. You know, so it is that's what we say. The every aspect. In fact, to me, the way I understand our country, you know, it is. I think what the type of system, the type of governance we have, performance we are having, is a reflection of whom we are. I think I can say that we should be, or that we're honestly going to be very difficult people to govern, because the way we behave, the way we conduct ourselves, I think we are not ready. So government need to invest. We need to go back. We need people who will come to governance and focus on education. When the Minister of Education, he announced the new policy of free technical education in the country, I said this is one fantastic policy of the government, but we hope it will not also suffer the same fate like the fuel subsidy and other. Before President Buhari left, the Minister of Education there announced that there was this policy, a kind of incentive for those studying education, that undergraduates in the Faculty of Education, they were supposed to be paid some I think 75,000 naira per section or something. You know, I was one of the people who applauded that policy, because I asked myself, we say we love education. I tell people, Nigerians, we don't love education. We love certificates. We love certificates. We just take the certificate and go and blandish it, even though it's a standard document, because there is no correlation between our knowledge capacity and what we are flouting. So, how can we love education and we are not serious with teacher education? Teachers are going to be the ones to drive the content. Teachers are, so we denigrate the teaching profession. We ridicule the teachers and ridicule the profession, and you say we love education. How? What type of contradiction is that? So we just hope that this guy, like I said, it is, we need to go back to the people. We need a reorientation. If we get it right, that citizens know their civic responsibility, know what a citizen in a democracy is. A citizen, what Roosevelt called a citizen in a republic. Every other thing will begin to fall in place for us. So that's where I will leave it.
Okay. So I would have loved to keep you here for much longer, for a long time, but I'm afraid our time is up. So I thank you so much.
There's always another day.
Yes, there's always another day. But thank you so much, Mr. Bonny, for being part of this segment. Trust me, you've done justice to the topical issues we've discussed, and we've learned a thing or two from you, and we are very, very grateful. Thank you so much. Don't forget, you're still on to Thursday's edition of Morning Ride, and our next spot is a repeat interview segment on the Workers' Day celebration with the topic looking at the Delta State workforce and their welfare with Comrade Goodluck Ofoburku, who is the NLC chairman. Do stay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right here on Delta Television, we would not stop talking about the Delta State workers. Perhaps we could use that to x-ray the entire workforce in the country. We've spoken to the NUJ boss, the NUJ chairman, It's time for us to speak to his boss, the NLC chairman. He's right here with us to have a very wonderful conversation about the workers' welfare in Delta State. It's nobody else than Comrade Goodluck of Obruku. It's good to have you and welcome to Morning Ride.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Yes.
So looking at the workforce and the welfare of workers in Delta State, so far under your leadership, what is your, how would you rate it so far?
Well, the Delta State government, they have been trying. But you know, when you talk of welfare of workers, it involves a whole lot of things. One, you must talk of decent work environment. You must talk of the take-home of the workers. Then you must talk of healthcare services for the workers and their families. Then they say rest is sweet after labor. When the worker has used his useful age to serve the government and leave the service after 35 years of service or 60 years of age, whichever comes earlier, how do you take care of him or her? So that's why I say the government has been trying, but some of the issues are not just in Delta alone. The federal government have exclusive jurisdiction over certain matters, and it is when the federal government approves and issues circulars, that is when the state government can now adopt and implement for the workers in the state public service, and even those employers of labor in the private sector. They always wait for the federal government to take the lead. Now, the issue of salaries and wages, it is in the exclusive list of our constitution. It means federal government must take
plus is acceptable. And again, I'll say welcome again before I start. We had a paper reviewer look at headlines this morning, and I tell you that most of the headlines were not the most pleasant. You know, from Edo State to River State told not to be part of the celebration, to a particular headline that said workers are dehumanized, devalued, and the rest of them. The NLC has not been making the most pleasant statement so far about May 1st, Workers' Day. Now, my question is, the reviewer said, is this a celebration or a time for reflection? And I'll push that question to you.
Well, I can say it is a day of celebration and also a day of reflection.
Okay.
You look at where you were, you look at where you were coming from, where you are now, and you must have cause to thank God, because there were others who started the struggle with you. Where are they today? If you are alive, you have hope that things will be better for you tomorrow. So it is now there for us to reflect, take stock, appeal to the government. If the government have been trying, do more. Like in Delta State, our amiable governor, when he was campaigning to be governor, he said he will listen more and do more. So like the proverbial Oliver Twist, we will always ask for more. So even if we are getting something, we are not yet there. It is not Uhuru yet. So that is why I said there is cause for celebration, because we are alive, and it is the person who is alive that has hope.
Yes.
Then when we reflect, we can approach the government to say, yes, you have tried in this area, but in this other area, please kindly see what you can do so that it can improve on the welfare of workers. For example, you talk of cost of houses in Asaba. It is very high. In fact, it is getting out of the reach of the common man and the worker.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, but we can encourage government to embark on low-cost houses for workers, like the junior staff and middle management quarters that was built by government some years back and handed over to workers. So we can encourage government to embark on such ventures so that it can ameliorate the hardship we're having with houses in Asaba. We can also encourage government that the cost of coming to work is high. Some people live at Ubolu, some people live at Iseluku, some at Ogwashuku. There could be a mass transit. Government can provide buses for mass transit and subsidize it. Yes, and it will also help the workers. So we celebrate and also take stock and encourage government to do more. We have hope that things can be better tomorrow.
So apart from encouraging the government to ensure that the living conditions of people in the state is better by the passing of each day, by making available resources to aid their movement, reduce cost and all of that. Now, what is the NLC in the state doing internally to ensure that the living conditions of the people in the state too are also catered for, if not to a great extent, but at least to a little capacity, just in their little way?
If you look at the constitution of the NLC, our job is that of a pressure group. Our job is to pressurize government, discuss with them, negotiate with them to improve the living standard of people, because we don't have the resources that government has to take care of the people. It is the duty of government to take care of the people. And where they are not doing it as they should, then it is now the duty of the Nigeria Labour Congress to put pressure on the government. So on our part, from time to time, we have this symbiotic relationship with the government where from time to time we discuss, we engage with them to see that they bring out policies and programs that will improve the well-being and welfare of the people of Delta State, including the workers. So that is what we are doing. For example, now, we know that the unemployment rate, according to the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, is very, very high. We do not recruit as Nigeria Labour Congress. Our job is to pressurize government that there are many unemployed youths in the state. Try and create policies that will encourage investors to come. Where they invest, they will now have offices and companies that will employ our teeming youth. There is insecurity in the land. We also encourage government support the security agencies by providing vehicles, good walkie-talkie, other technological instruments to enable them fight crime. That is our job.
Okay, let's talk about the theme of this year's celebration, reclaiming the civic space. Now, how does you, the NLC, interpret the word civic space? That's what I'm after, first of all.
Yeah, it is reclaiming the civic space in the midst of economic hardship. You know, workers are the ones that turn the wheel of progress. They are the ones that create wealth in the country. The civic space is generally the geographical space of Nigeria, and the worker that is supposed to create the wealth is supposed to be at the center stage. But because of hardship, they have been relegated to the background, and they have allowed all sorts of people to be at the center stage. So you now find a situation where those who are working and creating the wealth are getting peanuts, whereas those who do nothing or less than nothing are at the center stage taking everything. So we are now saying, no, it is time to recognize that we are important stakeholders in the country. Join others, take over the space. Don't allow people from here and there who shouldn't be. You will agree with me that you have some people who are just primary school holders, who are just secondary school holders. They have ruled this country and they have ruined the country. At the same time, you have workers who have master's degree or PhD. They have not been able to get to a position of where they can rule the country. You understand?
Yes.
So that's why I say, let's come together and take over the space that we have left vacant for others to come in and take.
What strategies has the NLC put in place to give workers the power to reclaim the space, to have their voice in voicing conversations and formulations, especially during this economic hardship?
We're encouraging our people to go into, belong to political parties, vie for elections.
Can workers be partisan?
Why not? The Constitution says, Section 40 of the Constitution says you are free to belong to any association. The Supreme Court has ruled. So anybody telling you that there is one civil service rule that says no, any subsidiary regulation cannot be superior to a constitution.
So you mean I can, as a broadcaster,
why not
pick a form?
Why,
from the PDP?
Why not? If you wish, anybody that say you should, it is try to violate your constitutional right of freedom of association. There are legal judgments everywhere. We have them. If you don't have, come. Anybody want to try to come, give you the judgment and you use it. So when they say, no, the law only prevents the union, NSC for example, for using union fund to sponsor political parties or candidates. It doesn't say that you cannot, as an individual, belong to
When
any
you say that,
political
Chairman, how about the Labour Party and Joe Ajaro's statement that really look like he's supporting or somehow empowering the Labour Party?
I said he has right to support any party.
Okay.
But not everybody in NSC
Okay.
belongs to or are supporting Labour Party. For example, the governor of Kebbi State presently, Idris, he was deputy president of NSC until 2023. From the NUT, he belongs to APC. And he has won their ticket and is the governor there today. We have so many other commissioners. Deputy governor of Niger State is from our union, the Medical Health Workers Union. It was from there he was picked, and today is deputy governor. I have the commissioner from my union who is also from Baoshi State. There are many. There are many. So it's why you don't know, people try to mislead you. The problem we have nowadays is that people don't read. They don't read the Constitution, they don't read the labor laws, they don't read the Labor Act. The laws are there. If you go through, it will tell you your rights and your privileges. But you see, some people will just come out here and say, there is workers should not do this. Who told you that? Who told you that? The Constitution of the land says you are free to belong to any. So we are encouraging our people, like I said, to go into politics, get into all these positions of authorities, so that where they are making laws, you can make your own contribution. Because sometimes you go to the National Assembly, you tell them why the minimum wage must be this. They will be saying, it's too much. It's too much. But if you have a worker there, or somebody who has worked, or we have our people there, they will always push
the interest of
workers.
Apart from joining political parties, though, what other strategies are in place to amplify the voices of workers and help them reclaim their civic space despite economic hardship?
By engaging with the government, by engaging with the private sector, employers of labor, by also engaging among ourselves, enlightening ourselves on our rights and privileges. Because it is not to just sit in your office and expect that manna will fall from heaven. No. Involve yourself in the process. They invite you for meetings, they never go. Because the first thing is to seek power. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Every other thing will be added. If we have power, or we are in the corridors of power, that is labor now, the NSC, we are in the corridors of power, we'll be able to influence policies and programs that will benefit the workers, that will enable more working class coming to the civic space. We are so far away from the center. That is just it. So those are the we are trying to seek the power first, or be in the corridor of power first, before we can now see, because we have allowed other people to...
One of your captains who we interviewed earlier on, one of your ships, the NUJ chairman, he spoke about having alternative means to help workers despite how things are tough. And I see that you led a protest one time trying to campaign for palliatives, especially as regards to transportation.
Yes.
How has that gone so far?
Well, the government has engaged an Indian company. They are giving them land. They are building a CNG power plant where by the time we get CNG tricycles and buses, we should be able to refuel our buses or cars that are CNG prepared. So the company said they will need at least 6 months. Okay. So this May we are entering, I think it should be the 5th month.
So they're looking for
they use about 6 months to build.
Right,
so by the time they build, they will know Nigeria does not produce anything before they will begin to import those tricycles.
Chairman, I'm putting you in a rush for 2 reasons. First, we got to go to the cenotaph, and next we've got
no,
to go
don't worry.
But before we say goodbye to you, please drop a message for the workers, honoring the workers so far and everything they've done in the civil space as well as in their companies. Just drop a message.
Well, I'll just encourage workers not to lose hope, that they should have faith in the state government, because the man that is leading the state government now, Right Honorable Sheriff Oboriwori, is a labor-friendly governor, and he listens to workers, or workers should be able to articulate themselves and present their needs before the government, so that government can attend to them. Because as a government that is ruling the state, there are competing needs. If you don't come out to cry and say your own, nobody will remember you.
I'll say if we
don't, that's it. Yes, if we don't come out to cry and say our own, nobody listens to us. Because the great Jerry Garner said, nobody will blow your trumpet for you if you don't blow it by yourself, because everybody is busy blowing their own. So if you don't blow your own, who will now know that you are there? So workers should come out en masse to support the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress, to always blow their trumpet, so that the government will hear and know that we have needs. Sometimes when you say, let's come and protest, let's come and do this and that for government to know that we have this need or that, workers don't come out. They sit at home. They have become so poor that they do not have the capacity to think again. So that is why we are saying we want to encourage them to have hope, to support us, so that we can keep blowing the trumpet for government to hear us and attend to our...
I have so many questions for you, sir, but...
you can invite me some other time.
We'll invite you some other time. We'll have this covered. So that's a promise.
Yes,
on Thursday this morning, right? Maybe next week you'll be here.
Yes.
We'll continue this conversation.
Yes, why not?
Very much.
Thank you
very much. That's a commitment there. And if an NLC chairman says that, then that's words on marble. Thank you so much. The NLC chairman of Delta State, Comrade Goodluck of Oporoko, he has been doing his job so well. The economic hardship in the country is too much, but then people have been putting in the energy to make it easier for workers, and I wish you all the best. I do not envy your job, but I wish you all the best as you continue.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and that's how we wrap it up.
Well, I trust you had an amazing time seeing that interview segment with Comrade Goodluck of Oporoko, the NLC chairman, and he was speaking on Workers' Day celebration and the welfare of workers. All of these were to celebrate the 2 years anniversary of the Oboriwori administration, and you'll all agree with me that the governor has done well. He has done beautifully well in his 2 years so far, and we pray he does more. Yeah, we expect he does more. Well, the next interview segment is on the importance of creating awareness on the existence of goods and services, carving a niche while satisfying a need, on the topic titled Swipe, Scroll and Sell, Advertising Empowerment with Antonia Mode.
Friday's edition of the program Morning Ride, and we have been having several conversations from health to the state of the state via the Star Report of the Week, and now let's look at business and how you can grow. Today we are thrilled to welcome a dynamic expert in the world of media, business, consulting and digital transformation to the Morning Ride show. Funmilayo Antonia Mode is a seasoned media and business consultant with an impressive background in communication, advertising, and public relations, holding a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Studies and a postgraduate certification in business management. Antonia's knowledge is as vast as it is impactful, with a passion for helping businesses to thrive in today's fast-paced digital landscape. She guides both startups and established brands through strategic branding, customer engagement, and digital transformation. Our expertise focuses on not just the aesthetic side of business, but also creating meaningful, action-driven experiences that truly resonate with target audiences. As a strong advocate for research-driven strategies, Funmilayo emphasizes the power of understanding customer behavior, market segmentation, and the strategic use of social media. Her insights, often shared on LinkedIn and Instagram, inspire business owners, especially the youth of Delta State, to harness modern advertising tools to elevate their businesses. Funmilayo's approach to business consulting blends creativity with analytical precision, helping companies exceed their objectives through informed, intentional decision-making. Her work empowers youth businesses in Delta State to adapt and grow in the digital space. Please, let's make welcome Funmilayo Antonia Mode to Morning Ride, Friday's edition.
Thank you so much.
It's good to have you right here. You know, the bio sometimes can be so heavy that we expect to see a giant. Like, but you've done a whole lot, and our conversation this morning is on advertising. Swipe, scroll, sell, advertising, empowering Delta State and the youth precisely. Do you think that Deltans have really keyed into the strength of advertising and making their businesses to grow and glow?
I think that advertising is still something that a lot of people are still trying to grasp. You know, lots of people are still trying to understand, you know, what, you know, the layman on the street or the businessman in Onitsha main market or in Obogonogo market, you know, that is the average sort of, I won't say level, but I would say a lot of people in Delta State are still trying to understand, you know, why it's important to advertise, why it's important to market your business. I think the average person is still trying to grasp the concept of advertising. That's, yeah, they're still trying to grasp it.
All right. Funmilayo, when you look at the modern way of advertising as opposed to how advertising was done those days, how would you say that the youths in Delta State have taken it so far? Are they like balanced or gotten used to the modern way of advertising, or are they still advertising like it used to be?
So I would say the youths are really getting a hold of it, you know, like the older ones are, you know, sort of still trying to understand it, but the youths are really getting a hold of it. I could see a lot of youths, you know, being on social media these days, you know, taking advantage of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. TikTok is very, very prevalent among the young ones too. So yeah, I could see a lot of people, a lot of youths, taking advantage of it, and that's really good. But it now boils down to the question is, it's not. I always say it's not about posting. It's not about making posts. It's not about making posts every day. It's about you really understanding. A lot of times, people, when people are having these conversations and they say, we have to be on social media. Social media is the in thing and all of those things. And I tell people when I have conversations with other business people, I tell them, like, you must understand your target audience. You must know who your target audience are. You can't be on Facebook and Instagram and you're targeting those in their 60s. You will never find those people there. Yes, you can find some older people on Facebook, but people, you can't find the older very older ones on TikTok and stuff like that. But in essence is that I think, I would say it's not about posting. It's about understanding who your target audience are. And when you understand your target audience, who they are, then you can actually do the right kind of advertising and marketing.
You said something about understanding your target audience.
Yeah.
It is when you understand your target audience that you will know the appropriate media or medium that is suitable for you to pass your message across.
Yes.
So the next question is now, what makes digital marketing more effective when it comes to getting or passing your message across to your target audience?
So digital marketing is, digital marketing is a lot. Mm-hmm. So we have the SEOs. When I mean SEOs means search engine optimization. So that simply means that people are able to find you easily on Google. Mm-hmm. So when you create your website, and when you create your website is able to, you put in keywords there, and so you put in keywords, and when they are searching for you, they find you easily and stuff like that, and things sell. Then also you now have the other aspect of where you have Instagram, and where you have Facebook, and where you have the emails and all of those things. So I would say that the digital, you have to first of all, you have to know what you want. As a marketer, you have to, and I always tell businesses is that you have to come to the point, first of all, when you know what you're selling, like when you understand your product and know who your product is for. You have to know who your product is for. Then the digital space will be able to help you. So if you don't know your product very well, and you don't know who you're selling it to, those are two most important questions. Who you're selling it to, what your product is all about. Those two things, when you know those two things, then you can be able to target properly. Without proper understanding of who you're selling to, of what your product is all about, you will end up making lots of mistakes. You end up using the wrong channel. You will end up not, properly hitting your targets. So it's the digital space can only help you if you really understand what you're doing, what you're all about.
Okay, let's talk about evidence. People love evidence.
Okay.
When they hear about those things, it sounds very Greek, Arabic, or Latin to them. Or they hear about actual cases where advertising made a difference, either putting monies in pockets and bank accounts, or helping one's business to thrive. However, at least they want to understand real cases. Are there some real cases you've seen in Nigeria? Because I know you've done a lot of studying outside the country. You've seen in Nigeria that Nigerians have embraced without even knowing that advertising was all that made this different. that you can share with us this morning on the ride?
Like, I would say that, for example, a program like Big
Big Brother?
Big Brother. I don't know whether that example, like
Okay,
a lot of
sure.
people
We want to get example, clearly.
So
Whatever example that
a
works.
program,
Let's
a
hear it.
program like Big Brother Africa, Big Brother Nigeria, you know, you see a lot of, so they have they have a marketing team, and obviously, and so they put out, so before even Big Brother starts, you start hearing things on social media. You start seeing posts on social media, you know, different people from other blogs, you know, taking those posts and, you know, posting them and, you know, talking about it, making people know that it's time for Big Brother. You know, so it's sometimes people expect results almost immediately. So advertising takes time.
It does.
It takes time. So when you plant the seed, you have to wait for it to germinate. You have to wait for it, because advertising is just like planting a seed. You have to water it, you have to be consistent, you have to do it, put in the work. And so when people want to get their results almost immediately, advertising is a long-term thing. It's a long-term thing. So I would say that there are lots of evidence everywhere. There's Coca-Cola. There's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has taken advantage of the fact that, you know, it's they sharing happiness, you know, and so, like I would say, Coca-Cola understands their brand, and their brand promise is that they want to be able to share happiness, like people sharing together, sharing a meal together with a bottle of Coke. So that's really what I was saying the other time, was that if you understand your business, if you understand what you're all about, if you understand if you've done enough research, understand what your product is all about, understand who you're targeting, then you're now able to craft something that would appeal to the audience, and then you can get your result even faster than normal.
Okay.
You know, faster than yeah.
Okay, so apart from audience appeal,
Yes.
now how do you, apart from, because you said something that in order for me to make good sales, I need to have an understanding of what I want to produce,
Yes.
my target audience. So how do I get people to patronize me and get this product, as opposed to the major challenge that everybody or most people in Nigeria is facing today, which is the problem of survival? So how do we expect them to key into this, patronize this, and then get these products with the major challenge of survival lurking around?
Okay, so I would say that one of the things that we need to harness more in Nigeria is excellent customer service. You know, to be able to talk to people politely, to be able to have, you know, I was making a post the other day on Instagram, and I said, you go into a store and the person opens the door. I'm going to give you an illustration and you tell me whether you like this or not. You go into a store and the person opens the door for you with a genuine smile, and they help you take your bag. They offer you a seat. They offer you a glass of champagne. And when they offer you all of this, then they help you with a cart to help you pick up the things you want to buy, and then help you put on, maybe you purchased a shoe, and they help you put on the shoe, and they ask you questions if you're okay and all of those things. They help you pack your stuff and take it to the car. Now, that type of experience that you have gotten, wouldn't you want to come back to that type of restaurant?
Definitely.
Or come back to, you want to come back. So in essence is that we need to start harnessing we need to start taking customer service seriously. appreciating people, talking to people politely, not getting angry. Because I see a lot of Nigerians, I see a lot of people who do businesses always upset. Like they're just upset. They're just, when you're asking just a regular question, they just get upset. They don't want to answer your question, or they think you're asking too many questions.
Maybe because it's not been paid properly.
Upset or frustrated.
Okay, so
maybe because it's not paid properly, so they're frustrated, like perpetual is just stressing.
Yeah, we could say. So the thing is that the only way that you can get, like, you have to get enough customers in order to be paid. So if you keep treating your customers in a condescending way, in a bad way, you end up losing that job. You end up not even having any job at all. You understand? So we have to try to, I know it's, the economy and all of those things, but we have to try to treat people right, treat our customers right. And the next point I would say is that we also have to make excellent products. So the other day I bought a drink and they said no sugar, but I checked some things online. I was able to find that it wasn't true. Like, it still contains sugar. So in essence is that, will I go back to buy that product again? No.
So in essence, advertising is not trying to lie, because I do that many companies, any brands in their bid to advertise, they distort the story. They tell a little lie. They add little sugar and tell you there are no sugars inside this particular drink.
And the thing is that when you lie, that would when people now come to you and you don't offer what they want, you're going to lose those customers.
You're going to take a little while, but you lose the customers.
You lose those customers. You lose them. You lose them. So that's the thing, is we have to start creating excellent products and doing proper marketing.
Anthony, from there more to your time is almost up already on the show. But before we let you go, I think we might do one question each. My question now is a very practical question.
Okay.
And because you're a business consultant, an advertising expert, a media expert as well, consultant as well. So I want you to advertise Morning Ride Friday's edition for us, for our viewers to see. Very practical. What would you do to advertise this and turn this into a bigger brand than what we have seen from channels, Rise, CNN, BBC, and other competitors out there who might not be able to fight right now?
First of all, I have to understand the concept. First of all, I have to sit with the management, or sit with you or those in charge, and understand the concept behind Morning Ride.
It's a breakfast show.
So it's a breakfast show. That's a breakfast show. And I have to also understand the fact that, yes, it's a breakfast show. What are the different type of segments that you have? So I have to understand, yes, it's a breakfast show. So is it a breakfast show that sort of, has has different segments, right?
Yes,
it has different segments that you talk about and all of those things. So first of all, my advice would be, like, for any media house, it would be important to be available to lots of people, reach lots of people. And I would say the breakfast show, it's, if you are not on social media, be on social media. That's another thing. And have like your own chat, your own Instagram, Facebook, and all of those things.
We're on track.
And then spread the word, talk about it, tell your viewers, or advertise it, and also spend time to advertise it on radio and tell people, tune in, Morning Ride is so time, spend time advertising it on radio, people talking about it, and then making lots of noise about it, and inviting guests that people love.
Okay.
So for example, you can decide to invite someone like Destiny Etiko, and then she talks about it, and also a flyer can be created and she talks about it on her page, and guess what, people are going to, so get influencers to talk about it, influencers, people like actresses actors, influencers,
This is just
invite
came.
them.
All right, cut, we're done. We're turning off the mic. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Anthony Amodi.
Yes,
we had more
thank you.
questions to go, but we know you would turn this to a class because she's a media consultant, is a business consultant as well, and she is an advertising expert. Thank you. It's been so much. We should pay you for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Morning Ride continues. When we come back, we shall look at health.
Well, I trust you had a swell time watching that interview segment with Antonia Modi, talking about the need to create awareness on existing goods and services in terms of carving a niche while satisfying a contextual need through excellent product and service delivery in Delta State. On the topic, swipe, scroll and sell, advertising empowerment. Okay, this is where we draw the curtains on today's edition of Morning Ride. On behalf of the board, management and the supervising producer, Nemibofa Ozibo, thank you for being part of today's edition. Not leaving out the head of the film unit, Victor Ewinofo, the PD, Alex Afodu, and audio personnel, Ogechi Nwante, and of course you, my awesome and amazing viewers. Before I leave you today, I want to say, be kind in your words and actions. The world needs more of kind people. You don't know what people are going through. The least you can be is to show kindness. Show kindness in all its genuine form to people around you. My name is Perpetua Iboba. Let's do this same time tomorrow. Goodbye.